Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all drive Porsches. I must make amends.
Your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Carl Goldman here in the studio along with Lenny Sage, owner of Mercedes-Benz of Valencia. We're cruising through right now the top 10 questions all of us need to ask before buying a new car. And I'm actually finding this really interesting. And we've really only started with this, Lenny, but here we'll go to number 3 here. Do I need or just want a vehicle with rear-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive or some sort of all-wheel drive 4x4 system?
That's a great question too. You know, front-wheel drive. There's the advantage of front-wheel drive is that you get a little traction. You get, the disadvantage is you get something that's called torque steer, which I personally hate. You know, it may not be. We sell front-wheel drive cars, so it's not a bias of mine one way or the other. I just don't like torque steer. And torque steer, it gives you the sensation that when you accelerate and you're in and you're turning at the same time, you're going to feel a little pull to the opposite direction that you're turning to. It just takes getting accustomed to. I don't really like it, so I don't love front wheel cars. Now, if I was in an area that rained a lot, and I needed that extra security of the front wheel traction, I think I'd probably feel a little differently about a front wheel drive. But you don't really need it in California.
What about four-wheel drive?
Four-wheel drive is a little different, and the only time it's great. All-wheel drive is great safety feature. If you're in an area where it rains and you got kids in the car, or snows, or you like to go up to the snow, I think all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive is great. But if you don't really go skiing that often. Once a year probably isn't enough. Skiing once a year isn't enough to justify getting an all-wheel drive. You probably don't need it. Now, if you have kids, and no matter what, it's going to rain, 15 days out of the year, no matter what you want to have that additional safety, then all-wheel drive might be a good way to go. But there is some considerations, and the fuel economy typically with all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive cars isn't going to be as good as a two-wheel drive car.
See, now I do have a four-wheel drive because we do ski a lot, but I don't think to put my car in four-wheel drive when it's raining here in Santa Clarita. Should I?
You don't need to when it's raining.
But is it smart to do? Is that a good preemptive?
No, you don't need to. But if I had kids in the car, maybe I would. I mean, I wouldn't drive it in that lower gear.
So you're saying my kids are more important than me? Is that what you're saying?
No, you just don't want your kids to. Your kids don't necessarily know. When you have passengers in the car, they don't know when you're running into a hazard. And they're not going to be able to protect themselves. When the driver can, because the driver, one, knows that there's a hazard impending, and secondly, he has an opportunity to grab onto the steering wheel. The passengers in the car don't. So there's an additional, safety concern that I have with kids. And I think, when people think safety, I think the first thing that they think of is their kids, and that's why. But I don't think you need to have all-wheel drive in the rain, for the few days it rains out here. So it wouldn't be a consideration for me, but it is for some.
But that's a good point with the kids and something. That's why you're answering the questions and I'm asking them and not answering them. Question number 4, top 10 questions before buying a new car. Do I prefer a soft ride, a firm sporty ride, or something in between? So what would an example be of a firm ride versus a sport
Great
ride?
Example for products I sell.
Okay, so go for it.
Mercedes-Benz is going to have a softer ride. BMW is typically going to have a sportier ride. Some people love that sporty drive. Some people love to have a driver's car. A driver's car to me is a car where you actually drive, you feel the road. The luxury aspect is going to be a little softer, and you're going to be a little smoother. I mean, you're almost like you're driving on pillows. And Mercedes-Benz is going to give you that a little more. Now, there are options where you can go to a sport mode with the Mercedes and you can go to a luxury mode with the BMW, but I don't think either of them get to the other's strong point. And it depends on what you like. I know a lot of people that don't love a cushy, soft ride, and I know a lot of people that love that driver's ride where you could actually feel the road. So it's a matter of taste, and it's a matter of what you like and what makes you comfortable. I'm getting a little older. I don't really love that hard ride because by the end of the day, my back's kind of beaten up a little bit. So I prefer the softer ride, but it really depends on what you like.
That's good. We've got a 1948 Mack fire truck that has no. It's double.
No
We use it for KHTS. It's a double clutch, and there's no power steering, no power brakes. It makes me appreciate any car after that. But I can drive it if I drive it even just across town, and I drive that fairly often. It takes a beat. My body takes a beating.
Sure.
A beating on that. So even though obviously a new car is not going to have that same impact, it's more subtle. But I understand that.
So when something catches on fire, I should call you.
You can
first.
just call me, and I'm there with that 1948 fire hose too. That will help too. Okay, question number 5: how important is power performance? Do I need or just want a new car that can do 150 miles an hour?
You know, it's funny. I've got a car that probably could do 150 miles an hour, and I don't think I've gotten over 70 miles an hour since I've had it. You know, power it's something that I think is still important to a lot of consumers. I think that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen electric cars and alternative fuel cars explode onto the market in spite of gas prices. No one needs the power. I mean, no one really needs the power. I think it's an election that you make. Again, fuel economy comes into play. You know, the faster your car's going, the more fuel you're going to consume.
What's the best optimal speed right now for a car? I was just having this discussion with my son because when I was in my early 20s with my first car, that's when we had the gas shortage and
Right.
we had to go to 55 miles an hour because that was the perfect speed for best gas consumption. But that's changed, hasn't it?
I think the answer to your first question is, when you accelerate, you don't want to put the gas pedal all the way to the floor. You put the gas pedal all over the floor, you're going to use more fuel than you need at that particular moment. Be easy on the gas pedal. I'm always amazed by sitting at a red light. Light turns green. A guy takes off, right, and he beats me to the next light. But the light's red. He's got to stop. And
Right,
I'm there,
yeah.
and we get to start all over
hello.
again.
Yeah.
And here I saved a little bit of gas because I barely hit the pedal, knowing that I'm going to hit another red light pretty soon. And that guy's consuming more gas than his car actually needs to get him from point A to B. So go easy on the pedal between lights. That's the best thing to do. And the optimal speed, is the safety speed to me on the freeway. Avoid the big fluctuations with hitting the pedal to the floor. If you could avoid those kind of fluctuations, you're going to be saving gas a little bit. Easy on the pedal. Go as easy as you can. Stay consistent with the speed limit of the people that you're traveling with. That's a safer way to drive. You don't want to be going past people, and you don't want to be going slower than people because you can cause accidents either way. But go easy on that pedal and stay up with the speed limits, and that's the best. That's the optimal speed.
And most cars now, and certainly Mercedes, has the mode on the dashboard that will let you actually see how many
Sure.
miles per gallon
Well,
you're getting at the given moment.
We have cars now that have eco functions on them where you can actually get to the light, push down on the brake a little harder. The car goes into a hold mode where the car actually shuts off.
Wow.
Kind of like a hybrid, so that the engine shuts off, and you touch the pedal when the light turns green, and the car fires up instantly. It's a seamless transition. The car starts itself up, and you're going on, and it's.
But
it's a great
doesn't
way.
it use more gas when you're starting up a car?
No, it used to, but not now. And you barely even hear the car fire up when it does. It used to be that way.
So you're telling me now a new car as of what year? So the car's coming out this year.
Technology is not that new because it's similar technology they use in hybrids, but more gas-only cars are coming out with that eco function, which is most cars actually are coming out with eco function. Some operate a little differently. With Mercedes-Benz, the car will actually shut off, but some will cut down from 8 cylinders down to 6 cylinders. In their eco functions, 6 to 4, whatever kind of car you have. But that's something that if I were looking for a car today, I would want to know if that car had an eco function.
Cool advice. Coming from Lenny Sage, owner of Mercedes-Benz of Valencia. We're going to be right back after this short break. AM 1220, KHTS.